Okay, we are live. Hello, welcome to the Traders Journal, everybody. Ooh, that is some dark lighting going on. What is going on? Deal. Better. There we go. That's a bit better. I don't know what happened. Okay. Welcome to the Traders Journal. We're back. Sorry, I missed last week because I've had the flu. So my voice is still a little bit croaky, but we're back. I'm excited about today's session because we are talking. Now, I really need to get this light sorted because why is it so dark? Okay. I'm just going to change this. This is showing. Okay. Let's just hope the light stays good. Okay. Welcome, guys. So today we are talking all things losses. Why do we still struggle with losses when we feel like we're doing everything else right? So we've been practicing our strategy, we've been back testing, you understand your entries, you feel like you finally got a handle on the situation and you're on top of everything, and then a loss, couple of losses, and it sends you off on tilt, and the next thing your account's blown. And it just seems to be a cycle. And every time you feel like you're getting better, the cycle starts again and you end up back where you were and you're going around in circles. Why is this? Okay. So as you know, I'm really passionate about all things mindset, psychology, and how it impacts us as traders, because that's where the answer lies. I 100% believe it. In my experience, the answer lies in sorting out your mindset and your psychology. And the way that we deal with losses, like how losses impact us, is the crux of what is going on. When you can solve this, imagine just having losses and knowing and behaving like they're just part of your business, and you just continue, you just operate as per normal. Imagine losses not sending you off on a tilt. Imagine if you could just run your strategy. Like, what would it give you? You've done the back testing, you know the results of your strategy. If you're here at CTI, you've got access to amazing strategies. There's people teaching their strategies in here, and they're fantastic. They give you such great results. If you could only just follow them, imagine being a trader and trading like that. You know what you can get. So why can't we get a handle on this? The answer is not in changing your strategies. Like, stick with the strategy you've got. It doesn't matter what strategy you're trading. There's some great strategies that are taught in the CTI Discord. If you're already trading one of those, stick with it. Don't change strategies, but start to work on this stuff. It's the mindset and the psychology. And today we're going to do a deep dive because I'm a bit on I've got a bee in my bonnet, it's the saying, is that I think most traders, and let's be honest, most traders ultimately fail. And I think they fail because they give up before they find the real answers. But my belief is that most traders are trying to have solutions for problems that are not really the real problem. I think they do not understand what the real problem is. Now, most traders constantly think the problem is their edge, their strategy. So they'll change strategies. But even the traders that kind of go, oh, actually, it's my behavior, it's my mindset, and they start trying to solve that, they're still looking at the problem the wrong way. Now, with losses, the problem is not the loss. It's not the monetary amount. It's not your fear of losing money. And so the solution of reduce your risk doesn't work because that's not the problem. I know it seems like it's the problem. Okay, and here's the thing. It can seem like something is obviously the problem. It's kind of like you're in the ocean in a boat and your boat's filled with water. It seems like the problem is that the boat is filled with water, so you're scooping water out. But the problem is that you've got a hole in the hull of your boat. So scooping water out, the solution, isn't going to do anything. The solution is to plug the hole, because the problem is the hole. The problem isn't the water. I understand that the water is also a problem. Okay, there's problems, and there's problems. But until you plug that hole in the boat, the solution of scooping water out. So we're going to dive into what's the real problem. Why are you really struggling with losses? And the real problem is not the monetary amount. If you reduced your risk even down to $1, losses would still undo you. And let's be honest, most of us, like, if you kind of look at it, you're like, I'm okay with losing $10 a trade. I'm actually okay with losing $100 a trade. I'm actually okay with losing $1,000 a trade if that's my risk, allowable risk. If you do a deep dive, you're probably not that afraid of the money, and reducing the risk therefore doesn't fix the problem. So let's go into what the real problem is, okay? And then we're going to go into 3 solutions for this. We're actually going to go through how to fix it, and I'm going to give you also an immediate tool, okay? Because some of these fixes are a little bit not overnight fixes, but you need something that you can start using today, okay? And when you start understanding what the real problem is, you're going to be able to use this immediate solution far better, because you'll understand what you're trying to actually manage. Sorry, I'm still a bit croaky here. Right. Let me just check everything is still working. Okay, we're a little bit our bit rate's a bit low. That's okay. All right. Now, why are you so impacted by losses? It's because a loss is not a monetary loss. It's what it represents. It actually represents something very, very personal to you. And that's why you're taking losses personally. And to understand why you're taking them so personally, you have to understand that we all have a thing called an ego. And our egos are our feelings about ourselves. And I know we don't want to admit it, but we are human beings. And our egos get bruised very easily, okay? If we get criticized, if we lose at something, if we, the best way to kind of see it is if you have a dream of doing something, it's very hard, and I support you not sharing it, but it's very hard to share it with other people because we're scared of their opinions of us. We're scared of them telling us it won't work, or them kind of going, oh, you're just going to fail at that. Okay. Our egos are easily hurt, and losses hurt our egos. Now let's understand why, because it's, again, our egos keep us from even admitting that our egos are hurt. It's hard for us to admit that something has hurt our feelings, or if somebody punches you in the face, or it's easy to say, oh, you hurt me. Okay. If somebody says something really, really horrible to you, it's easier to say, that really hurt me. You've hurt my feelings. Okay. When it's really small things, petty things, we want to say petty things. When it's something like a loss on a trade, it gets very hard for us to admit that this has affected our egos, because our egos are already hurt by just admitting that our egos are hurt. Okay. It goes very deep. It's a very complicated part of being a human. But we're traders. You want to become a trader, successful trader. You're going to have to do what most people don't want to do, the hard work. And some of this is the really hard work. It's being honest with yourself about how impacted your ego is. Okay. And losses, we struggle with them because they're hurting our egos. It's got nothing to do with a monetary amount. And this is true with not just losses. It's true with if we get out of a trade too early and we leave money on the table and the trade keeps running. That can hurt our ego as much as a loss. So there's lots of ways that we can be sent off tilt because we've been injured. Our egos have been injured. We've taken something personally. Now, when you are personally injured, it stirs up a whole bunch of other emotions. So it stirs up FOMO, and revenge trading is a very common one, because you don't want to get the money back. You want to get your ego back. You want to get your feelings of feeling good about yourself back. Okay. That's what's really going on. And we can also go into fear. We can go into fear and kind of missing trades because we don't want to take those trades, because we don't want to have that effect again. Now, why? What? So that's already deep, guys. We're just talking about ego, and our egos already don't want us to talk about this. I get it. But let's dive even deeper. What is going on? Why are we so injured? Now, when we are small, I like to say about 5, we haven't left the house yet. We've had play groups or whatever, but you haven't had to go out into the world by yourself. You've been protected at home, and it's around about the age of 4 or 5. You're a very authentic little person. You are probably your most authentic self at that point. You've got belief in yourself. You trust yourself. You're brave. You're just comfortable being. Then we go out into the world. Our first world is school. Okay? And school is a institution that, in many ways, I think it's good for some things. It's good for teaching us so that we can go out and get jobs. It's very good for many, many things, but it's not good for us as traders when we're trying to follow a different path. And trading is far more entrepreneurial than you probably realize. You're a true entrepreneur. You are working by yourself, for yourself. You're creating your own business. And therefore you need skill sets that are far more aligned with your 4 or 5-year-old self than yourself that comes out of the schooling system. Why? Because when we go to school, when we go to these institutions, so society, let's call it, the first things we get told is just how wrong we are. We get told off for anything. You don't follow the rules. You don't obey. You're out in playtime too long. You didn't follow the bell. You didn't come in. You get told off. You get told off. You get told off. And the messages we're receiving is just that you're wrong. You're a failure. You're not good enough. All of these messages, and that authentic self of ours just gets shut down, basically. And so our egos are already hurt from that very early age. I mean, I still remember being told off by teachers in my first year or two of school, and it would be so embarrassing. And it's not embarrassing. I mean, it feels like embarrassing at the time, but it's your ego. It starts hurting that sense of self. Okay, so it starts then, and we have years of that. Then we go into probably jobs, and I don't know how old you are, but once we hit about 30 is usually the time when we start to go, I need to start working on myself, because we're actually trying to get back to our authentic selves. Okay, and you are on that path now, because to be a trader and not to be so personally affected by losses, because it makes no sense. Okay, I know it makes, you're like, but why? It's just that this is what we're dealing with. We've got this ego, and every loss there represents not a loss, it represents you're wrong, you failed again, you're not going to make it, I told you so, told you this wouldn't work for you. It reinforces everything you subconsciously believe about yourself, because at the moment, because you're not having success in trading, you at the moment do not believe that trading will work for you. And that is why every loss and every leaving money on the table, getting out of trades incorrectly, anything you do is reinforcing that, and it's hurting your ego, because you're on this path of, I want to be a trader, I'm scared because I don't think it'll work for me, and then every loss is just fueling that part of your ego that is still damaged. Okay, and it's not you, it's not a personal thing to you. We're all like this. We've all been through the schooling system. We all came out feeling not that confident in ourselves, really struggling to believe in ourselves as people, having trust issues with ourselves. And that's why we're so affected by what other people think of us and other people's opinions of us. And we may not be telling people that we're trading, but the screen, losses, mistakes on the screen are screaming that opinion to us. Okay, now, this is hard, guys, this is hard to take in. I get it, but this is the hard work, okay? To be a trader, to do something that most other people can't do, you need to do what most other people are not willing to do. Most people are not willing to ever assess this part of themselves. They don't want to dive into this because it's painful. Okay, I get it. It is painful because it's painful, and it's a bit embarrassing. You've got to admit that a loss is affecting your ego. It's hard. Okay. Now let me just check that we're still on track. Okay, perfect. Now you understand the problem. Okay, it's not the monetary value of a loss. It's not your strategies not working. It's that you're going off tilt because you're taking everything on the charts personally, a personal attack, a personal validation that I was right. This isn't going to work for me. Okay. Now we know what the problem is. We can start to solve it. Okay, but if we're not willing to accept what that, it's even hard to accept what the problem is. That's the hard bit. Okay, now the solutions, some of them are hard as well, but let's go for it. And at the end, I'm gonna give you a immediate tool. So it's not a complete solution that means you're not going to take things personally anymore, but it's a tool that you can use immediately, and it's going to help you to not go off tilt when these losses hurt your feelings. Okay, so solutions. Okay, there's 3 solutions to this. Now, what do we need to solve? We need to actually solve this belief in ourselves. When you have the belief that your 5-year-old self had in yourself, okay, when you get that belief back, this is all going to be solved, because you're just going to be able to accept that It's a loss, let's move on, it's a loss, move, because you're going to be so confident in yourself. And you might think, oh, but being confident myself is narcissistic, or is I'm going to have a big ego or something. Yes, the world around us has also told us it's bad to believe in yourself. It's bad to have confidence. It's bad to have a strong ego. In trading, it's not bad, okay? It's if you have a strong ego and you're also treating people badly, yeah, it's bad. Have a look at yourself. But having confidence in yourself, having belief in yourself, having trust in yourself, having a good, solid ego, if you want to call it that, is good. Okay, you need to start reframing this stuff. The world has told you, has turned everything upside down, and it doesn't work for trading. We've got to undo a lot of this stuff, and this is a big one. Okay, we have to undo this. You have to get your belief, your trust, and your confidence back. And we all know it doesn't come overnight. You know, when I only started working on this stuff on myself like this when I was about 30. And in my 20s, I really struggled. I tried to be a trader, but I really struggled, and I didn't have any success in my 20s. I struggled at work. I was really good at work, but I was very poor at promoting myself or being confident in meetings, but I just had no confidence. And it takes time to get that back, okay? So I know what it's like to have no confidence. I've spent a lot of time working on myself to get that. And it is a balance of confidence and being all those negative things, up yourself, having a egotistical. You can be confident and have belief in yourself and still feel good about yourself and not be an a-hole, okay? You can do it. So we do need to undo what the world has told us you may or may not be. First things, okay? So now we're going to start to work on how do you get your belief? How do you get your confidence back? How do you start feeling solid and good about yourself and start trusting yourself? Because that's what you need here. Because when you have that, you are not going to take these losses so personally, because it's not going to have the power over you. Okay. First thing is time. Okay. I challenge you to find an 80-year-old, a 90-year-old that isn't just like, I don't give two hoots about anything. I'm just going to do my thing and I'm happy and I'm like, but over time, most people hit the end of their lives and they say, I wish I didn't care so much. I wish I didn't worry so much about what everyone thought. What they're saying is, I just wish I trusted myself more. I wish I believed in myself more. And they do then, okay? Over time, this isn't probably what you want to hear, but over time, this will actually sort itself out. But the problem is we want it now. We want to fast. We now understand the problem, okay? A lot of people only realize that problem when they are 80, because they didn't realize it earlier. They just went through life how society told them to go through life, okay? We now understand that we need to solve this so that we can hit our potential, so that we can do whatever we want to do. Imagine how powerful it is if tomorrow you woke up and you did not care what other people thought about what you do, how you what you're achieving. If you just didn't care what other people thought, how would that set you free? What would you achieve? What would you go out and do? We're so restrained by what other people think. And even when other people aren't around, we still worry about that. And that's why we even self-critique ourselves, because we're so worried about what everyone thinks about us. Okay. And that's what we're trying to break here, is you start to first trust yourself, believe in yourself, have that complete freedom within yourself, and then you won't actually care what other people think. That's how. So it's not about making other people stop thinking or worrying about what they think about you first. It's about working on yourself first, and then the rest disappears. Okay, you can't control, and actually nobody's thinking about you at all. That's the honest truth. Nobody's thinking bad things about you. Nobody's thinking, oh, that person's going to fail. We just think that because we're used to that. We're used to what society, what teachers told us or made us feel bad about ourselves. We're friends one day, and then the next day they don't want to talk to you, feel bad about ourselves. We're so trained to be so worried about what other people think about us, and it affects how we think about ourselves. Okay, so we're going to start inside. We're going to start with ourselves first. We're going to start thinking amazing things about ourselves, and then you're going to realize there is nothing else. There isn't other people's opinions. You think that, oh, then I'll change other people's opinions. It doesn't. Once you change your own opinion, the rest it disappears. Okay, so time will sort this out for you. Okay, but we want to fast track this. We want this now because we know how powerful it's going to be to have that, right? Okay, the second way to fast track that is there are amazing books. People have studied this, and people have written books. We call them self-help books. I've got two that I'd recommend you start with. Okay, this is just a start. But there's a trick to this. Okay, so it's not just about the books, and I'm going to tell you in a second. The two books are, one is called The Secret. Read it, get the audio book. Okay. The second one is called Atomic Habits. Now, it's not just about reading these books and then going, oh, that was interesting. No. You have to read these books like a manual. You have to take notes. You have to apply it, read, apply, read, apply. You probably have to read each of these books probably 10 times. Okay. And the final book for traders, obviously, is Trading in the Zone. Trading in the Zone discusses all of these things, but but most traders don't understand it because they're reading it with the wrong context. They're not reading it with understanding these kind of problems first. I read that book quite a few times, and it was only on like the 7th, 8th, 9th read that some of these things started to make sense to me. I started to understand it at a cellular level. Okay. These books, I'm going to add Trading in the Zone to my list. And it's not about reading it cover to cover. You can read it cover to cover, then zone in on chapters. Okay, you're using it as a manual, and you're working on yourself. Manual working on yourself. Manual working on yourself. You have to use these books as a tool. It's not just reading. Okay, it's not just nighttime reading. Oh, that was interesting. Okay, we've got an agenda here. We need to, instead of waiting till we're 80 to start having some of these amazing changes in our belief system, we need to fast track it. Okay, you're going to have to work very hard on. We have to undo years of what society has done to us. Okay, so read these books, take notes. They should become like a I'm not saying it should replace any religious texts, but you've got to think of it like your trading Bible or it's got to be like, take them really seriously, study the stuff. Okay, it's not just to read, and that's how 90% of people read these books. Okay, you're not 90% anymore. You're now part of the 5%. That you're going to do things differently. Okay. And I still read these books. I work on the stuff all the time because there's always there's always more growth to have. There's always new goals, and there's always more growth to have. So this is just part of, and I love it. It's just part of, you're now on this journey it just becomes part of who you are, is growth, learning about yourself, self-reflection, growth. And it's just a continuous cycle, because you're going to become an amazing trader as you go through this journey, okay? And you can trade while you're doing this. It's all it's just part of being a trader. This stuff should just be part of, like, it's like breathing, right? So that's number 2. You can use books. There's so many books, and I think these are the 3 great ones to start with, but there's so many more that can help you to grow and help you to understand these things about yourself better, okay? Because now you understand. The biggest thing is understanding what the problem is, because now you now know something that most other traders never ever understand, and it's very powerful. I hope you use this information, okay? And the third way to speed things up properly is to get help, okay? So this is through a third party, a coach, a mentor. If you have a very reliable trading buddy that already you feel is already exhibiting these qualities of themselves, if you know other successful people, follow them. You need to just study success, okay? Surround yourself with success in the first place, but don't take advice from people that haven't achieved this, right? But get help. Now, why? It speeds this process up massively, because a third person, a person independent of you, can point things out to you that it could take you weeks, months, years to identify about yourself. It's very hard for us to look at ourselves and figure out what's going on, okay? This is why top performing people, especially in sports, have coaches, because the coach they don't necessarily teach them the technical bits, but it's often more the behavior side, the reflection side, pointing things out to them that they might take a lot longer to see about themselves. So that's the faster way to go through this transformation and growth. But you've got options there, and they all work, but we don't really want to spend years and years waiting for this to happen. But with time, there is a lot of traders will say it takes about 6 years to become profitable, and it's a good example of, over time, losses will lose their impact on you. And it's not because the losses become diminished, it's because over 6 years as a trader at the charts, you will grow as a person, and that's why the losses start losing their impact on you personally. But this is just how it works, okay? You need growth, you need transformation, so you can get back to your authentic 5-year-old self who has belief in themselves. That's where we're trying to get to, okay? Now, and the long and the short of this all is that it's either going to cost you time or it's going to cost you money, whether that's buying the books, time just waiting for this all to happen, it's time reading and working on those books, or it's with books it's time and money, because you do need to buy the books, or it's going to find a coach or a mentor. You are going to have to pay, but it's time or money, and those are the decisions you always have to make. We all have to make those, and it's the same with trading. We manage risk, we manage money, we have to make investment decisions. What are you going to invest in? You're the trader, these are decisions for you to make, but there's options. But you now know what the problem is, right? Now, an immediate fix. You can start doing this immediately in your trading, and you're going to be able to do this because you understand what's actually going on, okay? Because a loss impacts you personally, and what happens when it impacts you personally it triggers a whole bunch of emotions. And those emotions that get triggered is dependent on you. Okay, it's very personal to you. The emotions that get triggered for me when my ego is hurt, when I take something personally, is going to be different from you. So some of us have more kind of fear. We kind of might start missing trades, might start avoiding. We have avoidance tendencies. And others of us are a bit more aggressive. So you might start revenge trading and being really like, I want to get it back. I want to, we don't know, but that's why we all behave differently. But the personal attack on us that the loss represents triggers these emotions, okay? Most of them come from the fight or flight response, but how you behave is dependent on what's been triggered and your personality. And that's why it's a personalized, we're all different, but it triggers something that is not helpful for our trading, because as traders, we want to be calm, even keeled, and professional. We can't be dealing with, we can't have these out of control emotions taking over and taking charge and trading for us, but that's what's happening. So now that you understand why it's being triggered, the only way, and this is true whether trading triggers you or if you're playing a sport and someone upsets you or someone criticizes you on the road or road rage, or anytime your emotions are triggered, the solution is to take time out. You need to step away from the situation. So if you have a loss, you need to have it in your routine to step away. Close the computer and go for a 10-minute walk. Go for a breather. Breathe in and out and get that emotion out, away. You can also journal. You can close your computer and then journal. How do you feel? Just get it out. You can go outside and scream if you want. Anything that, if you have maybe a boxing punching bag, you want to go and punch it. Maybe you want to hop on the bike and maybe you want to go for a run. You need to get that emotion out, but get it out at a distance from your trading business. Do not get it out in your trades, okay? Because you now understand that you've been triggered. You understand why you've been triggered. And there's nothing wrong with you. It's not like, oh, you're being triggered. There's something. We're just human. We get triggered. And if we can understand what's triggering us, we can start to manage it. So you need distance. You need time out and distance from your computer, and you need to get it out. So you can journal, you can go for a run, you can scream. I don't care what you do. Do something not trading. How long you need is up to you. Some of us need 10 minutes, some of us need an hour, some of us need a day. Some of us, if you are a more advanced trader, we need probably 30 seconds because we're so used to the awareness and the, awareness get back into the logical brain. This can become really fast, okay? But if you are scalping, if you're having issues with this and you are scalping, you're trading on the 1 minute or the 2 minute, I get it. You think that there's lots of profits there. But those kind of trades often don't give you enough time to deal with this because you're still a beginner at dealing with this. You need more time, but you're trading on a time frame that isn't giving you that time. It becomes very difficult. And this is why you see it very common. A lot of traders say they don't have success until they move to something more like swing trading or trading on higher time frames, trading on the hourly or the 4 hourly, because it gives them that distance, that time out. Okay, so consider that. You're the professional trader. You need to make these decisions for yourself. But you do need to make these decisions because it's not going to change. If you can't start getting distance and managing these emotions, it's not just going to disappear overnight. Over time, over 6 years, yeah, it'll disappear. Absolutely. And the final bit here is, and this is what sets the amateurs from apart from the professionals, okay? This is a hard one to do, but I believe you can do it because I probably believe in you more than you believe in yourself, right? But you need to start being super honest with yourself. We kind of call it, I like to call it brutal honesty. You need to start having these honest conversations with yourself, even if it feels silly, even if you are like, oh, that loss actually has really hurt my feelings. No, you don't have to be pretending. You need to be honest with yourself. It's going to give you growth like you wouldn't believe it, but it's very hard. It is hard to be honest with ourselves. That's part of being human. We will lie to ourselves for a very long time. Why? Because the truth is sometimes just painful. Okay, I get it. I'm there. We're all, as traders, as successful, professional, consistent traders, we are doing stuff that most people, 95% people fail, right? 95% of people are not willing to do this work. They're not willing to be honest. They're not willing to do this kind of work, to look at themselves, because it's painful. Okay, so I get it. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be an overnight thing. But if you start doing some of this work, put that immediate fix into your trading routine today. If you start reading these books, if you start working on this, reflecting, writing journals about this, in a week, you're going to look back and go, wow, I've grown so much in a month, in 5 months, in 6 months, in 5 years. Once you grow, you don't go back. So that's why this is the work that's really going to pay off dividends, because you're not going to go back. You're not going to ungrow. Okay. Guys, thank you for joining today. I appreciate you all. I've got a comment. Hello, RJ1536. Hi. And Keen Niels, I know my plan works in my head, but not in my gut. How do I build that real feel for it? 100%, this is exactly what we're talking about, is that logically, it works, but you don't trust it, because it's not your strategy. You're not trusting yourself. Okay, so here's one more. If you want to start getting belief in yourself, start trusting yourself, you need to start visualizing yourself in the future. You need to start visualizing the person that you want to be, the trader you want to be, the trader that has achieved everything that you set out to achieve. How does that trader feel? How do you feel in the future when you've been successful at everything you're struggling now, but when you achieve success, how does that person feel? That's the feeling you need to bring into your day-to-day trading. And you can only do that through visualization, which is essentially meditation. So we do talk about routine, having journals and meditating. And what you actually need to meditate is, I don't even want to call it meditation, because I think it makes people think I need to become a Zen, like get everything out of my head. And it's very hard to do that. No. Meditation for traders is more a visualization. You need to visualize yourself in the future. You need to visualize your successful self in 3 years' time, when you're sitting at your computer and you're trading like a professional trader. How does that trader feel? How do they know the plan works in their head, and they know that they can follow their rules. They have that trust in themselves. So the way to start bringing that trust in, because you don't feel that at the moment, I get it, is to, before you trade, visualize yourself in the future, because you're going to start feeling those feelings of belief, those feelings of trust, and then you can trick your body for long enough to have a trading session. As soon as you start feeling concern, feeling that feeling in your gut where you're like, I don't trust this, you step away, distance, journal how you're feeling, and visualization again. This is hard. It slows your trading down, but it's the work that's going to make the difference. Visualizing your future self and feeling that feeling of your future self and then bringing it into the now, that's the trick to get that feeling immediately while you're doing the hard work and actually growing, because eventually those two will synergize and you will just be your future person. You'll just be. It's an identity thing. If you want to understand how identity impacts you, how important identity is, and what we're trying to actually do is get the identity now of our future professional successful trader. We want to bring that identity to the now. Read Atomic Habits, because it explains how you can, put little tricks in place. You can do all these tricks and tools, but to get good habits. But it's not until your identity becomes that thing that those habits become easy. Identity is really important. So, Ken, it's identity that you're talking about, and that's how you get it. Drop me a message if you want kind of further clarity on that. Anyway, thank you very much for joining. I really appreciate you all, and have a fantastic week. Enjoy it, and keep working on your trading, because it's an amazing skill to have. Once you have trading as a skill, it's awesome.